Welcome back to Brett Breaks Things, a Tuesday show. Pleasure to be here as usual. Thank you everybody for joining us. We're moving right along. And, we talked a little bit about Trump's new stance on Russia. And I've kind of detailed, as we move along up to this point, the changes in Trump and Putin's relationship. Yeah, I'm jumping right in. And I know you guys see the lights. It's changed, but not exactly right yet. We're making a little bit of progress. It's in flux. And don't forget to help out any way you can. Donate at brettbreaksthings.com. Make the whole thing easier. But yeah, so the light's still a work in progress, but we're bringing the show regardless. I'll bring it to you from the dark. I don't care. I'm going to break things regardless of the light situation. Yeah, no kidding. Yeah, the lights aren't the only thing in flux, I promise you. But we're not going to burden you with any of that stuff. So, no, we're going to break things. We're going to continue to break things. That's a promise. So we're going to jump into the Putin stuff. So I've told you about, and I've detailed. I don't have to tell you anything. I've detailed to you, incrementally the changes in Putin and Trump's relationship. Little by little, the dynamic is shifting, and as I'm going to detail here, in spots, it's not because Trump is developing some kind of altruistic streak or has recently, developed some kind of concern, deep concern, humanitarian concern for the Ukrainian people or global stability in general. No, he's starting to look like a horse's ass. He's looking feckless. He's looking impotent. Okay, I keep using these words because these are the words that need to be applied to this man and his administration. Months ago, either he was appraised of Putin's plan of attack, his plan going forward, and was complicit, or he was being lied to and strung along. And we will never know the truth in that, but what it's starting to seem like is that he was just a patsy. He was just another Putin chess piece being moved around the board at Putin's leisure, at Trump's ignorance. And Trump comes out and says things, and Putin does what he wants anyway. And it's on a global scale. I told you, the dude, he cannot keep anything close to the chest, close to the vest. Nothing is a secret. Everything is off the top of his head. Not a great way to negotiate geopolitics. Say every single thing you're planning to do and are thinking to the whole world in general. Not a great strategy. Hasn't exactly been working out. But it's been to the biggest detriment of his ego. We wouldn't know how many times Putin has given him the finger, how many times Putin has completely ignored what Trump's wishes are or his influence in this situation. We wouldn't know. The optics would be a little blurry. We could only be guessing, but not the way Trump operates. The way Trump operates, we know what he's thinking and how hurt his little feelings are at this point. We know full well. Well, it's starting to come to a head. His ego can only take too much. So there are a number of developments in our relationship with Russia and our involvement in the Ukrainian defense, and maybe even more than the defense. Okay, maybe even more than just the defense. That's what he's been talking about. Got to give these guys a chance to defend themselves. Maybe it's a little bit more than that. But here's the announcement that I mentioned yesterday. We're going to play this and get into it.
And one of the reasons that you're here today is to hear that we are very unhappy, I am, with Russia. But we'll discuss that maybe a different day. But we're very, very unhappy with them, and we're going to be doing very severe tariffs if we don't have a deal in 50 days. Tariffs at about 100%. You'd call them secondary tariffs. You know what that means. But today we're going to talk about something else. And as you know, we've spent $350 billion approximately on this war with Russia and Ukraine. And would like to see it end. It wasn't my war. It was Biden's war. It's not my war. I'm trying to get you out of it. And we want to see it end. And I'm disappointed in President Putin because I thought we would have had a deal 2 months ago, but it doesn't seem to get there. So based on that, we're going to be doing secondary tariffs if we don't have a deal in 50 days. It's very simple. And they'll be at 100%. And that's the way it is. It can be more simple. It's just the way it is. I hope we don't have to do it.
All right, so this is the first interesting little bit of what he's saying now, the new developments. He's giving him 50 days. He's giving him 50 days. And then he's going to implement 100% tariffs on Russia and secondary tariffs. He's referring to Russian allies and trade partners with the secondary tariffs. But here's the rub. On July 30, he had a phone call with Putin. And reportedly on that phone call, Putin had told Trump, I'm going to do a 60-day offensive. This was on July 3rd. He's telling Trump what he's going to do. He's not negotiating, asking permission. He's telling Trump on a July 3rd phone call, 11 days ago, 12, whatever it is, as of today, 12, he's telling Trump, I'm going to launch a 60-day offensive and reevaluate after that 60 days, depending on the territory taken. They're trying to move up to the administrative lines of Ukraine. They're trying to move up to the center of their administration, of their war efforts, up to Kyiv and major cities, major bases. They're trying to gain a little bit more ground in those 60 days. So Trump comes out. The math just seems to work out here for Trump. So Trump comes out 10 days later and says, you've got 50 days. You see what he did there? It's all about his ego. He has already been told what Putin plans to do, 60 days. So he waits a few days and says, okay, Putin, you've got 50 days. This way, if by some freak chance Putin actually adheres to the 60 days that he told Trump, what does it look like now? What are the optics? Trump got the deal done. Look at that. On day 50, Putin stopped his offensive. Now he's willing to come to the table. Trump's the deal maker. I wouldn't be surprised if that was also Putin's directive, idea, right? Listen, Don, I'm going to do what I'm going to do. And I'm telling you I'm going to do it in 60 days. But if you wait a little bit and you throw that 50-day number out there to the world, you look like the strong man again. You look like you got me in line. It's not a bad plan. If Putin does what he says he's going to do, which has not been the case at all. Numerous times, time and again, says he's going to come to the negotiation table, says he's going to show up to Turkey, says he's going to show up to all of these peace negotiations with Rubio and Medvedev, and all these people are going to show up and we're going to talk this out, we're going to iron this out, and then he never, ever, ever does. And then he goes on state Russian TV and says whatever he wants to say, denigrates America, talks about us overstepping our boundaries, oppressive, NATO oppression, does what he wants. So he hasn't ever really stuck to what he said he's going to do, but if he does this time, Donnie may save face. Not a bad plan. Not a bad plan. Don continues. And by the way, these tariffs, we did a little digging as far as these 100% tariffs go. U.S. and Russian trade is kind of tiny in comparison to Russia's trade with other countries. It equaled about $3 billion in 2024, mostly fertilizers, iron, steel, and uranium for U.S. nuclear power. Although it's not much, it is important. It's important trade, especially the uranium, right? And that's why, certain sources doubt that he'd even do that. Even if Putin goes over this 60-day, 50 days, he won't really do this because it'll be too detrimental to the U.S. economy and our nuclear power interests. So there's doubts that he even follow through. You know how Taco Trump gets down, right? We've all seen it in action. Spins like a top, 180, 180, 180, 180, 180. Constantly changing his mind, constantly changing his position, especially on this Epstein thing. We'll get into that. He also threatened secondary tariffs. Okay? Those are potentially more serious, believe it or not, than the 100% on Russia. China's 250 billion a year trade with Russia. India imports 40% of its oil from Russia. And the EU and Japan maintain strong economic and trade ties with Russia. Okay? And New York Times, among others, are reporting that he probably won't go through with those either because it will spark a global trade war between these countries, some of our biggest allies, our biggest trade partners. Trade war globally. Inflation, higher gas prices, all leading up to the midterms. Can't risk it, right? Can't risk it. So this could just be more saber rattling. This could just be more tough talk. Even given the heads up by Putin, if he decides to trust Putin, put all his eggs in those baskets, in that basket rather, Putin goes over it. Now time to make a decision. And then he waffles again. Then he tacos again, right? The 50 days comes and goes, and he doesn't implement this 100% tariff and the secondary tariffs. How does he look then? Feckless. Impotent. Once again. Once again. And, you know, Russia, by the way, is maintaining a battlefield advantage, a clear one. He's talking about maybe a little bit more will be announced than just defensive weapons, more than just those Patriot missile batteries we talked about. Maybe more than that. He's talking now with Root, the Secretary General of NATO. He's talking about long-range missiles. Missiles that can strike into Moscow and other sites and targets deep into Russian territory. He's stepping up his rhetoric. He's stepping it up. He may okay more than defensive weapons. He's pretty pissed. And we've known that. He talks about it.
We're really, that's a big thing. And we thought we had 4 deals, Howard, right, with Putin. Somehow they end and we get off the phone. Oh, that was a very nice conversation. And then he sends missiles into buildings someplace. I said, what was that all about?
Yeah, what was that all about? I mean, you don't have to tell us, Don, just how he's pimp slapping you around in these phone calls. You could keep that to yourself as well. You don't have to come out in these pressers and these meetings in the Oval Office and the White House. You don't have to tell us, hey, Putin said one thing and then did another. You could play that close to the chest too. Instead, we know what he's doing to you on these phone calls. We know your position in this. You're Putin's bitch. And you keep telling us how you're Putin's bitch over and over again when you get in front of a mic. You can keep those details close to the chest, man. You don't have to tell us. You don't have to tell the whole world that he's taking advantage of you on these phone calls, and you're upset about it. Your feelings are hurt. Your ego's been bruised because of the lies that Putin tells you on these private phone calls. It's pathetic. You don't have to tell us everything.
It's time for a quick break, then we break some more. You're listening to Brett Breaks Things. You're back with Brett Breaks Things, because democracy doesn't defend itself.
I speak to him a lot about getting this thing done. And I always hang up and say, well, that was a nice phone call. And then missiles are launched into Kiev or some other city. And I said, it's strange. And after that happens 3 or 4 times, you say, the talk doesn't mean anything. My conversations with him are always very pleasant. I say, isn't that a very lovely conversation? And then the missiles go off that night. I go home, I tell the First Lady, you know, I spoke to Vladimir today. We had a wonderful conversation. She said, oh, really? Another city was just hit. So it's like, look, he's, I don't want to say he's an assassin, but he's a tough guy. It's been proven over the years. He's fooled a lot of people. He fooled Bush. He fooled a lot of people. He fooled Clinton, Bush, Obama, Biden. He didn't fool me.
I was distracted on the shot. Just unbelievable. Unbelievable. Again, whatever Trump says, it's the opposite. That means he fooled you. But we all know he fooled you. But it's not even fooling.
Do you think that like Melania mocks him? Like when he comes in bragging, like, guess what I did today? I got Putin to agree, and she's like, ah, you little weak impotent man. Look at him, he's getting you. Like,
I think it might go more like Melania. I want to have sexual intercourse with you, and she goes, Donald, if you can get Ukraine, you can get Russia to stop its offensive. Maybe you can get my nightie off, huh? Try that. You can't convince Putin. How can you convince me, Ra? You can. You are feckless, weak, impotent, Donald. we all know that Melania is nowhere near Don. I wouldn't be surprised if she has a legit restraining order out on that guy, and she only breaks it on certain camera ops, right? Like the big stuff, she'll show up next to him, staring off into the distance, thinking of her homeland, Ukraine, right? Isn't she from? No, where's she from? Oh, shoot. I can't remember now.
I want to say Czech, but I'm probably wrong.
It might be the Czech Republic. It's somewhere around there. Yeah, she's staring off into the distance, thinking about her homeland and thinking about what she had gotten herself into. I hope the amenities are worth it, Melania.
Slovenia.
Slovenia, that's it. She's from Slovenia. Thank you, Scotty. She's fondly thinking about her life in Slovenia, I'm sure more and more these days. But no, there's no Trump and Melania. It's not a thing. It's not a thing. He didn't fool me. He fooled everybody else, but he didn't fool me. All right, Don. You have been embarrassed. You have been embarrassed on a national stage. So much so that Jonathan Lemire of The Atlantic decided to write a story about it. And I thought this was pretty interesting, and I wanted to get into some of the talking points of this story real quick. I'm not going to make this reading time with Brett or anything, but this Atlantic story, I read it, and it was a fun little read. You know, it's a fun little read. Now, he does use a few sources, two unnamed sources in the administration, and two outside advisors to the president, former outside advisors to the president were talked to in this article. Unnamed, most of them. Some of them named. But Donald Trump has decided, it looks like, to finally take the fight to Putin. If the reporting is accurate, he will be green-lighting more than just the defensive weapons. He will be green-lighting long-range missiles to strike inside Moscow, to strike deep inside Russian targets. And according to the reporting, the change is not reflective of Trump adopting a new strategic worldview. These are the four sources agreeing on this particular point. Trump did not develop a new fondness for Ukraine or its president or its people or Vladimir. He did not abruptly become a believer in traditional transatlantic alliances prized by his predecessors as a counterweight to Moscow. Rather, Trump got insulted. All sources agree. The change, the shift in policy, the shift in defense and weapons provided to Ukraine, all of this is over his ego, according to these sources. And, whether you knew it or not, Trump and Putin have actually spoken a half a dozen times in the past 6 months. And each time they talk, Trump is getting more and more frustrated with Putin's actions directly after these phone calls. Putin does not take this dude seriously. Period. Does not. And, U.S. and European officials believe that Putin is planning a summer offensive. I talked about that. And will launch more attacks on civilians, more attacks on Ukrainian cities. And Putin is continuing to ignore, pleas for a deal. He won't even meet personally to talk to anybody about it. And as Trump continues to call for peace deals, obviously the big one, the war will be ended in 24 hours after I take office. All of this makes him look more and more humiliated. You know that. And Trump said, quote, "It's not my war and I'm trying to get you out of it." Speaking to the NATO alliance in general, but Ukraine specifically. We want to see an end to it, said Trump. I'm disappointed in Putin because I thought he would have done a deal months ago, but it doesn't seem to be getting there. And there's two camps that are forming. Two distinct camps in the Republican Party are forming over this issue. You've got J.D. Vance and Steve Bannon. They have pushed the president to straight walk away from Kyiv. Not our war, right? These isolationists, America first. The same voices, minus JD, that were against the bombing. Some of the same voices, some of the same America first crowd. They're also against deepening our ties to Ukrainian defense. Now, again, he said $350 billion in. We're $170 billion in. Keep that figure straight, Don, and everybody else. It's 170. Okay? And Trump, since he's taken office, has only greenlit a pittance compared to that. 50 million plus intelligence. Just a pittance. But this is different. This is a change. Offensive weapons, U.S.-made offensive weapons, which Don has finagled a deal to have Germany, other EU partners, Norway, certain countries, to buy the missile batteries, to buy some of these offensive weapons for defense of Ukraine. Not just us giving it to them, right, which is right against that America First talking point, that America First line in the sand. No more billions of dollars to Ukraine, not our war. He's gotten these EU allies to buy this equipment. Okay, fine. I'm good with that. Gary Kasparov. Yes, that Gary Kasparov. He had some interesting things to say. The chess master, now he's a Russian intelligence political activist. And he shows up and he talks like a pundit, like a talking head on CNN or anywhere else here in this country. Trump can make a very strong statement and make the decision to help Ukraine, not because he cares about Ukraine, but because he is made to look humiliated. I think Trump taking on Putin and showing his strength is good, even if it's for the wrong reasons. I agree with that. I actually agree with you, Gary Kasparov. I agree with you. I've gone tit for tat with people that I respect conversationally about our support for Ukraine. I present one side, they present the other. And I've heard great arguments of why we shouldn't be quite so heavily involved. What standing or right does the U.S. have to interject in, an invasion between two sovereign nations, considering our history globally? I've heard different arguments, but where I always land personally is that Russia never had casus belli. They never had a legitimate reason to go to war with Ukraine. And for me, that's all it really boils down to. It was an invasion in a sovereign country, democracy. And that is unacceptable. Ukraine being our allies need defense, and we need to stop the invasion as soon as possible. And to that end, this is good news. If it took Trump being pimp-slapped on a global scale and in front of the entire world numerous times by Putin to get us here, so be it. So be it. I don't care what got us here. We're here, apparently, where even the Trump administration, through humiliation, is willing to step up the defense of Ukraine, but more importantly, willing to give Ukraine a chance. Now, the defensive weapons alone, that can only stall a Russian push. It can only stall the plans Russia has for conquest. But offensive weapons is another story. Now, it's important to know that the Russian economy has adjusted to the war expenditures. A year ago, you heard a lot of intelligence experts telling you that they're running out of tanks, they're running out of people, they're pulling people out of prisons, right? They're getting Korean troops, North Korean troops. They're getting Taliban fighters. They're going to all these means to continue their push, and they can't do it forever. Well, that doesn't look like it's the case right now. It looks like Russia has recovered. Its economy has recovered. Its fighting force is recovering. And it appears they can do this for a while. And it can be argued, without this current decision to supply them with defensive weapons and some offensive, this war could be over with a Russia win soon. So this might be the right thing at the right time. And if it took Don's ego taking a pummeling, I'm good with it. I'm here for it. I'm here for it. I think I'm going to play a couple sounds on the back end, Scotty. I know you might want me to wrap that up, but I want you guys to hear from Jeffries. I do want to play the sound of Brit Hume. We're going to hear from Brit Hume on the way back. Just a couple viewpoints, right, from those inside. Jeffries feels the same way I do about the Trump-Putin relationship. He says it a little more bluntly on a grander stage, and I'm here for that as well. But it seems like the overall feel of how this is going between Putin and Trump, it's hard not to be read accurately from the outside looking in. It's pretty obvious from the outside looking in, from the layman's standpoint looking at what's happening, Putin is embarrassing Trump, and it might actually cost him.
Breaking politics, breaking narratives, breaking news. But first, we need a coffee break. Brett breaks things because someone has to.
Yeah, I think, look, it's clear from what the president himself has said, although he wouldn't put it this way, that he got played by Putin, and it dragged on for months. And he was being jollied along under the impression that Putin had obviously given him that Putin wanted to end the war and was prepared to negotiate from where we are. And it's pretty clear now that Putin didn't want to end the war where we are. He had more conquest in mind, and perhaps wanted his whole original purpose of taking Ukraine to be fulfilled. And I think that's the Ukrainians have held him off. And Trump, I think, understandably didn't want to add a lot more weaponry into the equation at the beginning of his term because he thought that would simply escalate the conflict. I think he's now changed his mind about that and is prepared to not only add weapons to Ukraine's forces through Europe, he's also prepared, it seems, to impose some sanctions that really might make a difference to Russia. Secondary sanctions on countries that are buying oil from Russia could be very serious for the Russian economy.
Okay, real quick, Scotty made a good observation. Brit Humes looks like Fred Gwynn, right, from the Munsters? But as he told me that, I'm thinking that's not where I know Fred Gwynn best from. I know him best from My Cousin Vinny. Mr. Gambini? Mr. Gambini? What is that you're wearing? Mr. Gambini? Yes, he does look like
a ute. What is a ute?
The two what? The two utes, Yana. The two utes. What is a ute? All right. So that's a friendly saying, yeah, Trump got played. Trump got played. And he tried to save a little bit on the back end. There's no talking around it. He tried to make him sound a little bit strategic on the back end of that. No. Trump's ego got hurt. Trump got played. You said it. Live with it. You said it. And it's the truth. Sometimes the truth slips out of these guys' mouth. Yes, Trump got played. Jeffries doesn't mince words like that. Jeffries doesn't mince words like that at all. Here's how he feels about it.
Vladimir Putin has spent the entire year punking Donald Trump and the Trump administration. Donald Trump promised many things to the American people and continues to betray the American people and break promise after promise after promise in a whole lot of areas, including Donald Trump's promise that there would be peace in Ukraine on day one of his presidency. How is that working out? Donald Trump has spent the first 6 months of his presidency playing footsie with Vladimir Putin. And the response from Vladimir Putin, a sworn enemy of the United States of America, has been to unleash terror on Ukrainian children, communities, and civilians.
I just picture Jeffries like going back up to the McDonald's counter with his incorrect order. I ordered a number 2 large with cheese, including 5-piece chicken nugget. No ketchup in there. You lied to me. no cheese. He's got a very particular way. I enjoy Jeffries, though. He's very dramatic. He's very theatric. I think he's doing a good job, but I like it. He definitely says his mind. Jeffries speaks his mind bluntly and honestly in a manner in which I wish Trump would speak his mind bluntly and honestly, not offensively or crass in a crass nature, not so damn insecure, just very blunt and honest. I enjoy listening to Jeffries. I enjoy it. So let's listen to him some more. What else does he have to say?
Donald Trump has zero credibility in this area. Is he just now figuring out that Ukraine is a friend to the United States of America and Russia is an enemy? Is he just now figuring out that the United States should always stand on the side of democracy, freedom, and truth, which is standing with Ukraine as opposed to standing on the side of authoritarianism, tyranny, and propaganda, which is what he's been doing by standing with Russia and Vladimir Putin? Is he just now figuring this out? Congress has to act independently in this area, and we should sanction Russia and continue to keep the pressure on Vladimir Putin and Russia, a sworn enemy of this country, until the Ukrainian people are able to achieve victory for themselves, our NATO allies in Europe, and the free world.
You know, the way Jeffries is talking about this implies that he's going with option B. Remember, I posed those two options to you. Either option A, Trump was informed full well of Russia's plans in Ukraine, how long they would take, how many drone strikes, how many lives lost, how much land he, planned to acquire of Ukraine's, and he was complicit and now playing us on the back end. Or option B, he has been played by Putin all along. And it seems, and this might be fortunate for him, that everybody is defaulting to option B. Don's getting played. Even Jeffries is saying, it's taking you this long to realize you're getting lied to? It's taking you this long to realize he is a dictator and cannot be trusted? It's taking you this long? Everybody knows it. So he's defaulting to option B. It seems everybody's defaulting to option B. Trump's just getting played. He wasn't really complicit. He's not that savvy. He's not that good at lying. He's not that good at deception. He's just been played and strung along the entire time. So this is headlines, right? His shift in, support for Ukraine. This is big headlines. It's competing with other headlines, right? It's competing with his immigration failures and court decisions that may put a temporary halt on the MO of his immigration and, CPB and Border Patrol and, how they go about their business. There's that story that this is kind of drowning out for now. And there's other stories that I think he's trying to get drowned out, right? We talked about Epstein yesterday. We're going to talk about Epstein again. We're going to talk about Epstein every damn day if we have to. If things keep shifting and changing and we keep getting lied to and more momentum continues to build against this administration concerning that issue, you can be sure that Don is going to try to keep up with that with bullcrap, right? He's going to try to continue to fight the public narratives constantly, trying to drown out the Epstein noise. He really has to do that. He's also doing Kristi Noem a favor because she's looking at serious backlash on FEMA's lack of response that is being reported over and over from newer and newer sources. That's getting drowned out, and it's getting drowned out by bullcrap from Donald. Why are you talking about this? Why are you talking about this? I got something else you should be talking about. We should be talking about the autopen. We shouldn't be talking about my administration's feckless, impotent nature in which it goes about the Ukrainian situation. We shouldn't be talking about my DHS director completely dropping the ball in the face of hundreds of deaths and missing people in Texas. We shouldn't be talking about this disgusting, disgraceful list of powerful people who took advantage of minors. We shouldn't be talking about any of that. We should be talking about autopens.
Look, the autopen, I think, is maybe one of the biggest scandals that we've had in
No, Don.
50 to 100 years.
No.
This is a tremendous scandal. And I know the people on the other side of See that desk, that Resolute desk? Unfortunately, he used it before me. But, you know, we have our choice of 7 desks. They're all beautiful.
Oh, man.
But I chose the Resolute, and so did he, unfortunately. But the people on the other side of the Resolute desk, I know them. Lisa, the whole group, and they're no good.
What?
They're sick people. And I guarantee you he knew nothing about what he was signing. I guarantee it.
He's so obvious. How can he still be this bad at talking to us? This autopen thing by Biden, this is the biggest scandal in American history in the last 50 and 100 years. 100 years. Biggest scandal. Bigger than Watergate. Bigger than the JFK assassination. Bigger than Stanley Kubrick's cinematic masterpiece, The Moon Landing. It's bigger. I'm kidding. Or am I? It's bigger than all of that. The autopen. You should be talking about Biden's autopen scandal. You are not a true patriot if you are talking about Epstein, or you're talking about Kristi Noem's failures, or you're talking about Pam Bondi lying to you. You should be talking about the autopen. The autopen is not a scandal. Okay? The autopen is simply a measure, a constitutionally approved one, where a president who is not currently at the Capitol can sign into law, remotely. He can sign bills into law remotely. If it's something super important, time is of the essence, and you're on the other side of the planet doing your presidential duties, you got to sign this now. You can use an autopen. Okay? It is completely legal. It is completely legal. It was first introduced in 2005. President George W. Bush's White House asked the Office of Legal Counsel at the DOJ for a formal ruling on the autopen, and they gave it. And what they needed a ruling on was, could a president who was physically away from Washington legally sign a bill into law using the autopen if he had explicitly authorized its use? And the DOJ said, yes. Done. Boom. Yes. Okay? And it cleared the way for the first use of it on a bill. President Obama in 2011 used the autopen to sign a Patriot Act extension while abroad, making him the first president to invoke that precedent. Opponents assert that the relying on the autopen for such weighty decisions reflects cognitive decline. Cognitive decline, huh? You sure you want to bring those words up? Or a detachment from direct presidential oversight. This has spurred investigations by Congress, the Justice Department, and Republicans in the House and Senate Judiciary Committees. So Trump wants to convince you that the perfectly legal practice of autopen is a bigger scandal than all those scandals I just mentioned to you and any I did not. Over the last 100 years, that's the biggest scandal, according to President Trump. And he's specifically butthurt over the multiple autopen use done by Biden when it comes to all of those pardons just before Trump took office. Hundreds and hundreds of pardons were signed using the autopen by Biden at the very end. And he's butthurt about it. Made it harder for him to politically attack using his DOJ and FBI to, string Fauci up by his toes in a basement somewhere. Biden's pardons put a little bit of a kibosh on literally tar and feathering Liz Cheney and Adam Kinzinger. Sorry. Yes, he used the autopen for some pardons. He did, Don. Sorry.
We'll be back to break it all down. You're listening to Brett Breaks Things.
It's amazing. Some people...
Brett Breaks Things, where the stakes are high and the truth still matters.
All right. Well, as much as President Trump would like me to just take the stance of, I'm done talking about Epstein, I want to talk about the autopen for the next week and a half. I'm sorry, I'm not going to take the bait. And I'm sure there's, maggots out there that are more than happy to start talking about the autopen at the water cooler or the Klan rally or wherever the hell they get together, instead of the Epstein file. But not all of them. But I'm sure there's some of them. But even MAGA's pretty fired up about this, Don. Everybody's pretty fired up about this. I don't think your autopen bait is going to handle it, bud. There's not much juice to that squeeze. Sorry, just not much. So we're going to continue to talk about Epstein. And how odd is it that it is left to the Democrats to introduce legislation to get these files? Man, it's quite a reversal, right? That's quite a change from the last couple of years. You know, when Biden was in office, and every Republican and right-wing pundit, talking head, podcaster, writer, all of them demanding justice, demanding transparency, demanding to know what's in these files, release the list, release the blackmail list. We want to know who the clients are. All coming from the right wing. Yes, Democrats were interested. Independents were interested. Those not really affiliated with American politics in general were interested. Everybody was interested. But man, the right wing was pushing it, banging that drum. And now that the right wing has all the control, the DOJ, the FBI, CIA, they've got it all. Now it's left to the Democrats to push legislation to get a little transparency, to get a little info for the American people on something that's been talked about by the right wing for years. It's left to the Democrats, left to the the House Dems to try to push legislation. Now there is a HR 3633 right now. The Genius Act is what it's called. It's in the House right now. It's a cryptocurrency regulation bill, but I'm not going to talk about that. Okay, the Genius Act is in the House, HR 3633. But now there's Amendment 50 being proposed to that, or was proposed to that. And it was aimed at compelling Attorney General Pam Bondi to retain, compile, and publicly release all documents related to Jeffrey Epstein, investigations, prosecutions, incarceration, and on a publicly accessible website within 30 days of the bill becoming law. This was proposed by Ro Khanna. It's his amendment. Let's hear from Ro.
Mr. Speaker, I introduce today an amendment demanding the full release of the Epstein files. The Speaker's Rules Committee should demand a vote tomorrow of every member of Congress. Yes, we should release it, or no, we should not. This is a question of whose side are you on? Are you on the side of protecting the rich and the powerful who've put their thumb on the scales of government to suck out millions of dollars while working class Americans suffer? Or are you on the side of the people? The Attorney General said on her desk was the Epstein file. And now she's saying, no, 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 nothing to see, don't release it. This is a question of trust. We need to release the Epstein files so we can restore government of the people, by the people, and for the people. And every member of Congress tomorrow should be forced to vote on this amendment.
Okay, so Khanna wants every member of the House to vote on that amendment. It has to go through the House Rules Committee to get there, to get to a vote by the House, by the whole House. It has to go through the House Rules Committee. We've talked about the House Rules Committee. We talked about them at length in terms of the One Big Beautiful Bill, right? They had to vote in the Rules Committee to get the bill to a House vote. And we saw all the debate and heard from all the actors and everybody interested on both sides in the House Rules Committee over that. I played you many clips. It's Virginia Fox, the chair, Michelle Feischbach, Ralph Norman, Chip Roy, Aaron Houchin, Nick Langworthy, Austin Scott, Morgan Griffin, Brian Jack. And on the Democrat side, it's Jim McGovern, Mary Gay Scanlon, Joe Nagise, and Teresa Legger Fernandez. That's the House Rules Committee. So it has to go through a vote in the House Rules Committee. They will vote in the House Rules Committee on whether the House votes on this amendment. It has to go through the Rules Committee vote to get to the House vote. We've been here before. Jim McGovern proposes the House Rules Committee vote. Let's hear from him. Now, this is going to be a long clip. This one's going to be long, but I want to play the whole thing because it gives you a little insight on how these things are done. And we're going to go from a governed statement straight into the vote itself. Okay? Here we go. Oh, no. Is the sound not playing on this one? Oh, that sucks. Okay. This happens every now and then. Here, I'll try to reload it. I'll try to reload it because I really did want you to hear that. Like one in every 100 of these videos, just for whatever reason, doesn't play the audio. Nope. All right, we'll try to get it. But it didn't go well. I'll just tell you, it didn't go well.
To H.R. 3633, offered by Representative Khanna, which would require the Attorney General to preserve and release any records related to Jeffrey Epstein. Madam Chair, on February 21st, 2025, President Trump's own Attorney General, Pam Bondi, said on Fox News, the Epstein client list was sitting on her desk, quote, right now to review, end quote. Kash Patel, Trump's FBI director, said during his confirmation hearing that he would do everything, if confirmed, to make sure the American people knew, quote, the full weight of what happened, end quote. Patel, who now leads the FBI, said on the Benny Johnson show that the FBI was hiding the Epstein client list. Donald Trump Jr., the president's own son, tweeted out, I quote, show us all the Epstein client list right now. Why would anyone protect those scumbags? Ask yourselves this question, and then the answer becomes very apparent, end quote. And now, forgive me, but suddenly these same people are telling us there's nothing to see here. Trump is posting that we should all just move on. Well, I want to know what the hell is in these files. And I think we all want to know why Trump is suddenly changing his tune and is so desperate to sweep this under the rug. But you know what? This also gets at his credibility. This is about trust. Republicans said, trust us, vote for us, and we will release these files. And here we are. They are backtracking. They said they aren't going to cut Medicaid, and they did. They said they wouldn't add to the deficit and debt. They exploded both. They said that they stand with law enforcement. They won't even hang a plaque honoring officers for their heroism on January 6th. They talk about law and order and can't even condemn the president for pardoning the people who violently attacked the Capitol building. So please forgive me if I don't believe a word of any of it. This isn't about gotcha politics. It's about credibility, or rather the lack of credibility on the other side, because they constantly say one thing and do something else. So I urge a yes vote on my amendment, and I yield back.
Questions on the amendment? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed say no. No. In the opinion of the chair, the noes have it. The amendment's not
Madam
agreed
Chair,
to.
I'm kind of shocked by that. I will ask for a roll call.
The clerk will call the roll.
Mrs. Fishbach? No. Mrs. Fishbach, no. Mr. Norman? Yes. Mr. Norman, aye. Mr. Roy? Mrs. Houchin? Mrs. Houchin, no. Mr. Langworthy? Mr. Langworthy, no. Mr. Scott? Mr. Scott, no. Mr. Griffith? Mr. Griffith, no. Mr. Jack?
No.
Mr. Jack, no. Mr. McGovern?
Aye.
Mr. McGovern, aye. Ms. Scanlon? Ms. Scanlon, aye. Mr. Neguse? Yes. Mr. Neguse, aye. Ms. Ledger-Fernandez? Aye. Ms. Ledger-Fernandez, aye. Madam Chair?
No.
Madam Chair, no.
The clerk will report the total.
5 yeas, 7 nays.
The noes have it. The amendment is not agreed to.
And there it is. There you go. I mean, they voted on hypocrisy. That wasn't a vote to send the Epstein file amendment to the House. That was a vote on hypocrisy. And the Republicans vote yes on hypocrisy. They vote no on transparency. They vote no on giving you the information that you, the American public, deserve, what they promised you and what they campaigned on and the drum they banged. They voted no on all that, and they voted yes on hypocrisy. All the Democrats said, yes, send this to the House for a vote to release all these files. All the Democrats, plus Ralph Norman, the Republican, voted yes, send it to the House. All the Republicans except Ralph voted no. Now, I couldn't help ask myself, is that a consolidated no vote from the Republicans because this is what our Congress is right now, tribal to the very end? If the Democrats want it, we vote no? Or is it to protect somebody? Have they been giving their marching orders on this? Have they been given clear instructions on whether to allow access to these files to the American people or not? It may be both. It may be both. Ro Khanna talked about it afterwards.
Joining us now, the member of Congress who forced that vote, Democratic Congressman Ro Khanna of California. Congressman Khanna, give us the latest situation with the House Rules Committee.
Well, it's very disappointing. I had a very simple amendment that the full Epstein files should be released. It went for a vote to the House Rules Committee. Jim McGovern, who is the ranking member for House Democrats, made sure that all 4 Democrats voted for the release. Ralph Norman, a Republican, actually joined with the Democrats, saying that there should be a vote on the full release. Chip Roy didn't show up for the vote, but 7 other Republicans blocked it. So as of now, there is going to be no vote tomorrow, up or down vote on whether the Epstein files should be released.
And this was the first stage of your attempt to get a full vote by the House of Representatives, to see a full recorded vote. Everyone could see how their member of Congress voted on this issue. And that's what was blocked by the Rules Committee, not allowing you to get to that stage on the floor. Why would it be important to have that recorded vote on the floor?
Well, in a very simple way, we should see whose side are you on.
I agree. We should see whose side are you on. And when I tell you that this is a vote for hypocrisy by the Republicans, that's exactly what I mean. And I want to leave you with this little mashup. I want to remind you once again, it's one thing for Brett to say the Republicans have been talking about this for 2 years. It's another thing to hear it from their own mouths.
Please do not let that story go.
Who has Jeffrey Epstein's
Black Book?
Black Book?
FBI.
But who? That is, I mean, there's...
Oh, that's under direct control of the director of the FBI.
What the hell are the House Republicans doing? They have the majority. You can't get the list? Put on your big boy pants and let us know who the pedophiles are.
Would you declassify the Epstein files?
Yeah, I would.
All right.
I guess I would. I think that less so because, you don't know. You don't want to affect people's lives if it's phony stuff in there because there's a lot of phony stuff with that whole world. But I think I would.
This isn't about Epstein or 9/11 or JFK or RFK. It is, but it isn't. It's about a bigger thing. If you're lying about that, you're lying about everything. Who's on the Epstein tapes, folks? Who's on those tapes? Who's in those black books? Why have they been hiding it?
And this is something Donald Trump has talked about. The DOJ may be releasing the list of Jeffrey Epstein's clients. Will that really happen?
It's sitting on my desk right now to review. That's been a directive by President Trump.
Everything's going to come out to the public. The public has a right to know. Americans have a right to know.
How dare you, Kash Patel? How dare you, Dan Bongino? How dare you, Pam Bondi? You are the 3 people in direct control of whether we get this information or not. The 3 of you. That's all you talked about. And now the 3 of you are in the exact position you need to be to unveil this information, to unleash these files, to bring justice. How dare you? A vote for hypocrisy. We're not going to be distracted by the autopen, Don. We're not going to be distracted. We're going to bring you stuff on Alligator Alcatraz. That is developing. Some people got to visit. Some people are in there now. We're going to talk about it. We're going to talk about Kristi Noem's failures as that is developing. Her culpability. Her dropping of the ball. And that's such, to even use a term like that, it seems disrespectful. We're going to cover all of it. We're not going to worry about the autopen, Don.
They opened the door. There were about 6.
They'll try to repair the narrative, but Brett Breaks Things will be back tomorrow to break it all down.